Welcome to the Plastering Show in partnership with British Gypsum on Fixed Radio. Now this week I'll be joined by a plasterer from Northern Ireland who I'm really looking forward to talking pebble dashing, all techniques which are dashing, to explain the whole dashing process to our younger listeners. Now you might remember at the start of the summer that I talked to a spread in Northern Ireland about the lack of use of dot and dab over there because they mostly float and set. Well, I said at the end of that show I could have talked to Danny for hours about dashing techniques, pebble dashing, spar dashing. So Danny has kindly agreed to come back on and do exactly that now. Danny, thank you for joining us. Now, how widespread is the application of pebble dash over Northern Ireland?
It's still a really, really big thing. There's plenty of variety with it, obviously. And yeah, we're still doing loads of it, to be honest, loads and loads of it.
Because I'm trying to get this across to our younger listeners. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Pebble dashing, spar dashing, wet dashing, dry dashing. How would you break them down, talking from a dasher in Northern Ireland?
Pretty much the big differences is your wet and your dry. You know, that's the way that I would look at it. If your wet dashing technique is totally different to your dry dashing technique, and everything in between. There's so many factors as well to look out for, and it's nearly the sort of thing where you nearly, like, we have a young apprentice Colby there, and you have to have him with you to see what's happening and to explain what's happening as you go along. You know, like, we're on a few social media groups, Trows Talk and stuff there, and it's so hard to explain to somebody without them actually seeing it or, getting a feel for doing the job. It's nearly impossible. It's a really hands-on thing, and I just think you need to be guided if you haven't done it before. That would be my big recommendation.
No, I totally agree. Because when back in I was 17, 18, 87, 88, we were predominantly sand and cement rendering round Devon, okay? And there was a couple of sites close to the sea, which is where we predominantly get dashing sites because of, it's really hard weathering, isn't it? Dashing. Yeah. And they were all Canterbury spar stones. So we used to call that spar dashing, you see. So we used to obviously standard 22mm bell cast, angle beads, bead and scratch it. And then we were like laying the render on, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, Tommy come along with these homemade catch boxes, putting them on the inside of the pudlocks, dashing, picking up, and I was like, what's he doing? And I said, why don't you just let him go? And he used to say, do you know how much a bag of stone is? Do you know what I mean? And when someone explains it to you, shows you, it's all, what do you guys use to catch the stone? Because there is a lot of wastage, isn't there?
Yep, we're the same. We have, like these big plastic boxes, and it's like, we've used several boxes over the past few years, but the ones that we found now they're quite a good size. They're not too big, because when they're too big, they nearly catch too many stones at a time, and it would nearly break your back trying to lift them again, So as big as plastic boxes, they're maybe about 6 inches high, by 2 foot by a foot wide, but we find they're great. Nobody wants to be putting the money out for stones and then you're throwing them all around the place. Like it's crazy. The extra money, if you weren't recycling them,
I know.
It would be mind blowing the amount of money that would be lost.
It is, isn't it? You try to explain to someone why you're doing it, and it's like, well, just let them go. I said, no. You'll have like 3 foot at the bottom of a gable, wouldn't you?
That's like, you wouldn't see your bill cast.
No, that's right. So my experience of pebble dashing is a spar dashing. Now, do you believe pebble dashing is because you are dashing with pebbles? Or are you the same over there? Is it more of a spar dashing now? A decorative stone rather than a round? What's the sort of, or does it change from areas around Northern Ireland?
It changes slightly, but to be honest, a lot of ours are. We would sort of just call it like we sort of split it as dry dashing and rough casting, or your wet dashing. But the dry dashing varies from your stone chippings, can be from 3 to 4 mil, right up to twice that size, and bigger again. So again, it all just comes down to where you're at, the customer's preference, and then everything sort of goes off the back of the stone. The bigger the stone, the deeper a background coat you need, and you just have to work everything from there.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah. Because we had this one particular site, and we had to use. Do you remember Snowcrete? The white cement, because we used to use silver sand in the Snowcrete because it had
not nice stuff at all. I don't think it's not nice to work with. It looks well, but it's not nice to work with.
Horrible. You had to leave it in the mixer for ages to fluff up.
Yeah,
and lay it on.
Yeah,
but because the stone we were using had black flicks in it, it looked nice with the light rent. You see what I mean? And so we've done quite a bit of that down mainly where we're close to the sea is where we would do it round here. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's such a rewarding process as well, though. Because it is quite hard. It's probably one of the processes that I would be the most nervous doing, for the simple fact that say if you're doing like a big gable on a house or something, it can run away from you so quick, so it's like there's so much time put in prepping everything, getting everything ready, making sure everything's right, and then the minute you start, you just have to go and keep going until you're finished, so it's then you stand back and you look at it and you're like, yes, that looks good, that's a good job, and you can be quite satisfied with it.
We both know if the suction's not right, there's a lot can go wrong. If you put the second coat on too heavy and it starts sliding, it's quite an involvement. You've got to think it through, haven't you? Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
it can be very, very, very temperamental. It can be so easy to have your background, say too damp, and like you say, then you run the risk of it starting to slide or move. And then on the other hand, like you say, if you leave it too long and you don't prep your background enough, it starts to really dry on you, and your dash doesn't want to stick, and then it's panic stations again. So it can be a stressful one, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's got, because if it's too dry, they just bounce, don't they? They don't go into the second coat, and it's bold. It's a bold patch.
Yeah, and then it looks terrible.
No, I totally agree to it. So, why do you think it's so suited to the buildings and the environment over there?
I think our weather, to be honest, like you say, yours would do a lot of it in around the seaside and stuff, because it's quite a weather, a weather hardy finish. And we probably get quite harsh weather over here as well. Most of the year, I always joke and say our winter's cold rain and our summer's warm rain. But I think it's just, we're very much set in our ways here as well. I think, the floating set never really went away. And I think it's just the same. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of the traditional or the newer sort of renders and stuff are coming in as well, but like we are still flat out doing the traditional stuff, and people just seem to really like it.
I love it. I mean, to me, the ideal house or bungalow would be a dashed elevation, gable, front, back, with smooth bandings around the reveals and the heads, bandwork round. Now that to me is, you wouldn't have to decorate that, would you? You could once you finish that, it will stand the test of time. That would. Yeah,
we actually do quite a lot of that. We do quite a lot of we've done quite a few houses now over the last couple of years, and I thought they were absolutely beautiful looking, where it was a pearl grey stone. They were using like a silver sand, and there was the smooth bands around the windows and the coin stones down the corners, and it was a really classy looking place. I loved them. I thought they were fantastic.
Yeah, like you say, a lot of prep is quite, to get it right, but once you stand back, that's a very, very rewarding pat on the back, isn't it, to do one of them.
For me, that's what the job's about. See, being able to stand back and look and be like, that looks really good, and I was a part of that, and have the job satisfaction. It wouldn't matter if you were getting twice the money if you weren't happy in the job. There has to be, for me personally, anyway, there has to be job satisfaction there to be doing it.
Man after me or not. Yeah. So how big a part of your business is this throughout the year, would you say?
That would be 50-50, to be honest. Every house that we're doing at the minute, it's inside, outside, and that's us all year. We hit the winter months, and you get up in the morning, you're checking your weather. If it's possible to be outside at all, you get out and you get what you can get done. 90% of the time it works for us, and we can get the outside finished, and be jumping inside whenever it's wet days. Last year was one of the few years in particular where we got caught out and the weather was quite bad, and we ended up then we were stuck with the outside of the house to finish, and we had a few days missed in between here and there, but it doesn't happen that often. We normally are fit to judge it quite well. We just pretty much, if there's anything to do outside and it's dry, you go out, and that's the way we work it.
The Plastering Show with British Gypsum and Chris Frediani.